All right, I wanted to start with something super dumb that we can just make fun of and then move on. I don't know if you've seen this, Charlie, but it's great.
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like it's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means to be American, but it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. You know, people don't really see, like, you know, it's you know, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice, but you're gonna get what I mean.
Can you go back to the screenshot real quick? I want to show you how I felt the entire time she was talking.
I don't know.
That's a great depiction of how my insides felt as she was talking.
I don't know what that was.
Let's take a positive from this, Nate, okay? Maybe the world needs more positive things for stuff like this. This proves that anyone can be a congressperson.
That's not a congressperson. That's just a girl. You racist.
Oh, I thought that was not Ilhan Omar. I thought this was Ilhan.
No, she sounds like Christopher Walken when she talks. It's a lot like bananas and rice. That's how she talks. But she did get arrested, actually, for assaulting the law enforcement in Minnesota. So I thought that's the positive that you were going to go for. All right, number 2. I just called this AI. It appears MSNBC gave Alex Preddy a tan, a stronger jawline, better teeth, shorter forehead, and a nose job to make him look hotter for the awfuls. They broadened his shoulders, thickened his neck, and gave him biceps. And this is a real thing that happened.
That is crazy. I had no idea.
This is great. Sorry, that's not. No, let's get back out of that.
That
My bad.
screenshot's perfect.
Yeah, let me get to.
That wasn't Ilhan Omar?
No, that's not Ilhan Omar.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely positive.
What a
They're not. They
striking
don't all look
resemblance.
alike. Let's just say it's Ilhan Omar. That's fine. Whatever. I think that she should be impeached or something. I don't know. Here's Joe Rogan talking about.
Do I
this.
have to add the disclaimer that we're joking?
No, we don't have to.
Yeah,
It's
people
fine.
probably
It's
don't
better,
get the sarcastic
It's better to
humor.
be more awkward. Here we go.
NBC did to his image.
Yeah, where they gussied
Basically
it up.
did the opposite of what CNN did to me. You know, CNN during the COVID times turned me green, and they made me ugly and look like I was dying, and they made him handsome.
Yeah.
So people would be more sympathetic to him getting shot, which is kind of wild. Like, are ugly people less valuable to MSNBC?
Less marketable.
That is crazy to me. Like, look at the difference.
Yeah.
Look at the difference. They shortened up his face. They gave him a little bit of a tan. They widened his face a little bit, it seems like. They just made him a little handsomer.
Yeah,
a little hotter.
They gave him a bit of that Chad jaw, didn't they?
They shrunk his nose a little too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They shrunk his nose.
Yeah.
Gave him a little bit of a handsome jaw. So he looks like an
Even
American.
made him. If you look at the shoulders, it even looks like they may have plumped up the shoulders there a bit.
A little bit. Yeah, the one on the right looks like he's a little plumper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they changed the tone of the color. Wild. I mean,
Looks like he has a more defined Adam's apple. Even.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy that they would do this sort of thing, just so blatant like that too. It's one thing to like color correct a photo because you think it looks washed out or whatever, low quality, but
that's AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not even Photoshop or whatever. That's like, hey, make this guy look hotter. Make him look less how he does.
Yeah.
Right. And then make him look pretty. But that's not the only AI instance that we have this week. Never forget this photo. This man was murdered by a criminal enterprise currently operating out of the White House. And it's no wonder the guy was murdered after he took that agent's head off. This changes everything.
God bless.
But that's not the craziest part of this.
Well, we have a video, though. Someone took a screenshot and then had AI manipulate it to make it look worse than what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, that's what happened. And it's just... The headless Iceman.
Of course you would. Of course you would get shot after decapitating an ICE officer.
I'd say he deserved it. No, but that's not the only thing. This photo was then used in Congress. So that's awesome.
My God.
Yeah, let's get to that part.
The nation watched in horror as social media was flooded with images. This was a moment when this man lost his life. He was characterized afterwards as an assassin, a domestic terrorist.
I can't stop looking at the headless
The photo tells the story.
Iceman.
The killing of Alex Preddy has further intensified tension.
That's what is he talking? What is he?
The killing of Alex Preddy has further intensified tensions in a city already really.
God, he's so old, man.
Oh,
He's so old, he doesn't even know where he's at.
that's Dick Durbin. What is that? That's Illinois, I guess.
Oh my God, he was he was a
He's been
senator
there
when I was in middle school.
The guy's 10 years older than God. Imagine how big that photo is, by the way. That's big. That's printout on a big poster board
Made it into the halls of Congress.
in Congress, and no one was ever like, huh.
Where's this guy?
Why did they hire a guy that doesn't have a head? Isn't that a problem? All right. So that's ridiculous. All right, number 3. This is called Dumb Dim Takes. Dumb Dim Takes. There's this thing, and I actually think they're making it more dangerous for many of the people that are protesting or resisting or whatever by
Spinning the narrative.
by including this first thing when they're talking about the national right to record and legal observation in this CNN clip. And the first thing they start with is not legal observation or your right to record. Here's that.
Was it appropriate for the ICE agent to push that gentleman
Yes.
onto the
Yeah.
ground
Absolutely.
in the middle of the street
Yeah, I'm fine
into
with that.
oncoming traffic? I mean,
At this point,
bus.
lucky he didn't shoot him.
Yeah, that's take it into
Take
consideration.
a push over a shot.
The guy's lucky to be here. Yeah,
He was probably asked 4,832 times to move out of the street where there's a car, and they're trying to move the federal vehicle down the road. And of course, he wouldn't do it because he's standing there with his camcorder.
that's a phone.
Yeah, phone.
It's a phone.
And so then, when not moving to allow the vehicle to move, the ICE agent pushed him on the other side of the street so that they could move. So,
I just saw Costco. I'm back. Chuck is fat.
yeah, great.
Thank you for getting
Thanks.
that. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, there's in my opinion, this is really dangerous and irresponsible for a news agency to be posting things like this. It is not legal observation to stand in front of a vehicle and block it, especially if it's a police vehicle. That is not legal observation. And they're talking about national right to record. It's just not. And so telling people that like their right to record is being violated, you cannot just stand in front of a vehicle and pull out your phone
In the middle of the street.
and therefore they can't touch you because you're recording them. That is a childlike logic that we talked about on Wednesday's show. I got no respect for that kind of stuff. Or at least if you are going to get pushed around afterwards, just don't complain about it because you're not operating within the bounds of legal protests. They'll do this to all. They'll do this to people who aren't officers. Also, clearly, we've seen plenty of people standing in the way of vehicles. It's not okay. And I myself, when I see someone standing in front of the vehicle, it's much better they got pushed out of the way than they just got ran over. So the Giffords, you know that was she a senator or representative? The Gabby Giffords that was shot. I can't remember which one it was.
I don't remember.
Gifford says Alex Preddy has been identified as the man shot and killed by federal agents in Minnesota. Our hearts are with his family, friends. Alex was a 37-year-old ICU nurse who served veterans at the VA hospital and cared deeply about his patients. Maybe his parents too, I'm not sure. He was a lawful gun owner who was protesting in his community when the agents detained, attacked, and then fatally shot him. He has joined protests following the killing of the Minnesotan Renee Nicole Good earlier this month. He had the right to be there and should still be alive. Okay. I agree that given the circumstances, he should still be alive. It's not.
No coughing during the show.
I would
just
broke my own rule. Gosh, dang it.
What we can say emphatically that we wish Alex Preedy wouldn't have died or been shot. There was a mistake made, but the way they framed this guy's life, I even saw that there were several complaints against this guy at the VA and other things. It's interesting the way they try to frame this hero of a man, that they have altered his photo to be this masculine hero, ICU nurse, just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Picture perfect. We played a video yesterday showing some of his behavior at a previous protest.
Which doesn't mean you should get shot later on.
And also I've seen what looks to be credible, I don't know if you have this in here or not, but looks to be credible infiltration of the
I don't have the
chat,
signal. No, I don't have the signal chat.
which
in
is
here.
basically, it appears, and I'm still looking into this, but it appears to be credible that they're organizing these types of things, which people do organize protests, but they're looking for trouble, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, hey, we're going to march here. We're going to actually cause problems that are illegal in nature.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. So the whole framing of this guy is completely, well, as you can tell, it's a complete PR marketing job to spin the story in one certain direction.
So
now, does that mean this guy deserved to die? No, that's not what I'm saying. But we should just talk about the truth.
Yeah, it cannot be a policy of that a government agency should be able to disarm someone and then kill them. So you have to say he should not have died. All right, back to the Gifford thing. The dumb about this is the hypocrisy. Here's Gifford, last updated September 8th, 2025. Firearms in and around democratic environments threaten not only public safety, but also the integrity and trust in our most fundamental political processes. The presence of firearms in and around democratic spaces such as polling locations, public demonstrations, and in government buildings pose significant challenges to the safety and security of our democratic institutions. In recent years, our nation has experienced a rise in political violence and armed extremism. This whole thing goes on, and yes, many times talks about political protests and events and how they are against people being able to bring guns to those things.
Except Alex Preedy.
Except for this guy, because this can be used right now in the moment for something that you want. Here's a post, 1.6 million views, says, this is the don't tread on me flag, says, this flag belongs to liberals now.
God.
No. Now, it might also not belong to Republicans, but it definitely doesn't belong to liberals, as long as by liberals you mean Democrats and leftists and not classical liberals.
Classical liberals, no problem.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kind of, most of the time, yeah. But no, it hasn't been that long since y'all were in control, and they like to pretend like you don't remember any of the stuff that was going on during that time or anything throughout the history of the United States of America ever, and that's just not the case. One of our biggest critiques of people hating Trump so much more than everyone else is that they've acted like we've just never had an authoritarian in the White House. This has just never happened before.
Unprecedented.
The United States could turn into a tyranny. There's just no way we can have this kind of thing. And so acting like we haven't had issues in the past or aren't constantly dealing with these issues all the time is crazy annoying.
Is it possible we could use this to come together?
With whom?
You know, to try to show them like, okay, hey, you see Trump is a problem. Do you see that big government overall is a problem?
No, they don't get that. Sure.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I would love for them to be able to understand that argument, just like I would like for the right to be able to understand the argument that the left was really bad when they had the power, and the power's still there. Actually, there's more of it now than there was before, and then they're going to have that power again sooner or later. But no, neither side understands that.
Bailey from the Fed Haters Club says, yes, let's all come get warm around the dumpster fire.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
We can hold hands.
It's cold
sing
outside.
Kumbaya.
Dumpster fire's nice and warm.
Yeah.
Josh Eckel posted out, this is a meme on the left. It's a MAGA guy says, oh, so Dems support the Second Amendment now? Now, that is a valid critique, okay? Because Dems, for the most part, hate the Second Amendment. All right. I think if they thought they could get away with it, most of them would be just fine using the ATF to go door to door to take the guns out of your house. If they thought that was a feasible plan that
Except
they
for
could get
muskets.
away with.
They're fine with muskets.
Well, muskets are fine. Yeah. Those are absolutely fine. But on the right side here, it's a Democrat guy. This is like the Western man, the strong, masculine man here with speaking of,
with
by
a
the
musket.
way. That's funny.
Yeah.
On the right, it says, yes, we're the party of the Constitution. You're the party of Trump. There's valid critiques to go around all over, but as we've said earlier in the week, I am not, even though we have our problems with Republicans and MAGA Republicans and people on the right, I am not going to let the left or Democrats come in and act like they're the party of the Constitution all of a sudden. It's just not going to be the case.
Never been the case.
I've got a much longer memory than a month ago. Okay, I can remember that. In fact, we've been doing shows for longer than that. Here's another post from Climate Defiance, who has a rule in their bylaws that they can only post retarded things. Patricia Mark McCluskey brought weapons to a protest. They were honored as keynote speakers at the 2020 RNC. Now, what's the problem with this protest?
The protest was at their house.
That's their house. They're at their house. So, should you point your weapon, Charlie, at someone you don't intend to shoot or would not shoot at that moment? Like, is it a good idea to just be waving around your gun, pointing it at people as they're walking by on the street?
If you're at your house,
I feel like you still can at your house. Yeah,
you can at your house. Now, I would recommend that Patricia there doesn't put her finger inside the trigger guard. Seems like Mark has much better trigger discipline,
of course,
in his current stance, although he's not really holding that AR correctly.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, they're at their house.
Mm-hmm.
And if you tell me a mob of people are going to show up, I don't care if they're in the street in front of my house, you best believe that if they're trying to protest in front of my house for me, I'm going to protect my family.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the biggest issue they ran into was the HOA. That's the problem.
Probably.
That's where they really got screwed over.
They got that email.
HOA. They got a fine in their mailbox. That was a big problem.
Specifically against the bylaws to brandish weapons in front of your house.
Yep. And they signed on to that. They opted into that.
Yeah.
You know, unless
can I talk real quick?
No.
We'll just lump HOAs into this dumb. That I got a note from people in the group saying that you needed to submit an ARC request to cut down fallen trees from the ice storm in your backyard. I was like, are you kidding me? Is that a joke? Now, luckily, the board sent out a note yesterday saying that in a state of emergency, thank God, Bill Lee declared a state of emergency, that they will suppress that regulation until March 31st.
Who decided to send out the rules that you weren't allowed to cut the trees in your own backyard that fell down? The board, you know.
But they let you know, hey, we're going to suppress this regulation.
So you're telling me that if the governor had not declared a state of emergency, your board was going to come after you for cutting up the tree in your own backyard that fell because of the ice storm?
Yes. Without an ARC request.
My God.
You got to pay your $50.
These
$50 to submit your paperwork.
These people. Okay, number 4 is called former presidents. And I just have to say this real quick. The best former president, other than the dead ones.
Is this guy still alive?
This guy, I think, is. The best former president is George Bush. Just is, because he just keeps his mouth shut basically all the time. He hardly ever, if ever, chimes in on political things. And I think that's great. Once you had your time to ruin the world, you should just be quiet about the other people afterwards. I think it should be a rule. I think you should just be quiet about everything.
Exactly. He spoke enough when in office, maybe not totally coherently.
Yeah.
But at least he spoke quite a bit.
So,
and he's written books afterwards.
So Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton all had things to say. And I won't read you all of Joe Biden's. First off, none of these guys wrote this, with the exception of potentially Obama had input on his because he's the most coherent out of all of them, and probably still the most ideologically driven. Joe Biden's is rich, considering this whole thing has a lot to do with the fact that he just didn't enforce the border the whole time that he was in office. And so when we talk about this, we're in such a situation right now because we just decided not to enforce the border. And that was Biden's administration who did that. Now, does he say plenty of hypocritical things in this, as Charlie's reading right now? Of course he does.
I think this might be AI. That Joe Biden did not write this. This is AI.
He didn't write it, but you think, well, because of all the, what do you call those?
The M dashes.
M dashes.
Well, not just, I mean, that's what drew my attention to it, but now that I'm reading it, yeah.
Did he do a bunch of that's not this, that's this kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Let's see. What has unfolded in Minneapolis this past month betrays our most basic values as Americans. We're not a nation that guns down our citizens in the street. We are not a nation that allows our citizens to be brutalized for exercising their constitutional rights. We're not a nation that tramples the Fourth Amendment and tolerates our neighbors being terrorized.
We are a nation.
The people of Minnesota have stood strong, helping community members in unimaginable circumstances, speaking out against injustice and holding our government accountable to the people. Yeah, I could say AI. You didn't see the M dashes, at least like the doubles. Does it have to be a double for it to be considered an M dash?
There's one below. There's a double below.
Yeah, there's two more doubles below.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying is I didn't remember seeing those until like the last year or so. Now, I've used dashes a lot when I speak, but never the doubles. Like that's a different thing. I use them to indicate like a pause in my speech.
Right.
Next thing, Bill Clinton. He had something to say. Over the course of a lifetime, we face only a few moments where decisions we make and the actions we take will shape our history for years to come. Let me read you the full statement here. In recent weeks, we've watched horrible scenes play out in Minneapolis and other communities that I never thought would take place in America. People, including children, have been seized from their homes, workplaces, and the street by mass federal agents. Peaceful protesters and citizens exercising their constitutional right to observe and document law enforcement, that is not what they are doing, have been arrested, beaten, tear gassed, and most searingly, in the cases of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, shot and killed. Charlie, I expected you to have a reaction to the background that I made here, but if no one
is that Waco?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't pick up on it at first because I was trying to read what you were saying, but now that you drew my attention to the background, that is Waco.
Yeah, there we go. All right, sorry, I'll put this back on here. All of this is unacceptable and should have been avoided. To make matters even worse, at every turn, the people in charge have lied to us, told us not to believe what we've seen with our own eyes, and pushed increasingly aggressive and antagonistic tactics, including impeding investigations by local authorities. I ain't gonna listen. I ain't gonna listen to all that. I'm not even gonna read the rest of it. That's enough. Barack Obama, he's got words to say. Now, he had his own post too, where like it seems like the same people. I don't know if there's like an office of the former president. I'm sure there is, but like they got the same exact thing, their statements that got posted out there. But he did one more, which is posting a link to Vox.com on how to help the resistance to ICE.
Hey, at least they titled it correctly.
In Minnesota.
Resistance.
Yeah, thank you.
Not protest.
He says, in Minneapolis and many other communities across the country, we're seeing people come together to peacefully protest and support their neighbors. If you're looking to get involved, here are some ways to help. And there's just this weird thing about Barack Obama that he's been able to mostly get away with everything that he did in his presidency. Like, you don't think about, I mean, we do, but like people on the left don't really attach like Syria and Libya and continuation of Afghanistan and Iraq. And they don't really attach
giving guns to the cartel.
Yeah, all these things, corruption in the agencies, the IRS targeting of right-wing groups, things like that, spying on Americans, just general
spying on the next president of the United States.
Violation, Yeah, sorry, setting the incoming guy up for treason, things like that, you know. And he's sort of like with the left.
Bailey says even cash for clunkers. Forgot about that program.
How can we forget cash for clunkers? I mean, that actually was a terrible program that has caused a massive spike in car prices and all sorts of things. I mean, that was just a terrible, god-awful, stupid program.
Yep.
He also, oddly enough, feels the authority to post about how bad it is that Trump's trying to deport all these people. And what I guess people don't know as much about is that Obama technically, and I'll tell you the difference in some of the numbers here, but Obama technically deported over 3 million people. There's a lot of people. Now, the last number I showed you when we were talking yesterday, where ICE had arrested 230,000 people in 2025, when we were talking about how it's going to be impossible for them to do 20 million deportations. The last time the number was that high was during Obama, like in that many actual arrests that were taking place in a year inside the country. So he did a lot of deportations, and yeah, plenty of news stories going around, getting shared around now.
Seems like the coverage was different back then.
It was really different. It was, you know, in Trump's first term, we had the kids in cages. It's like, who built the cages? The picture of the kid in the cage, like that was during Obama's presidency. No one cared about that. You know, it's like how no one cares that Lenin built the gulags, that kind of thing. You know, I'm not comparing these people strictly to Stalin and Lenin, but it's that sort of thing.
But then Obama can unequivocally come out and
like condemn Trump's actions. And the only difference is there weren't people on the left getting people all whipped up about it while Obama was doing it. And they maybe also went after some easier targets. Like you could go to a factory and probably round up like 300 people, you know, but instead they want to go to like 300 houses. And so that's going to take a lot more time. Okay. It just is. Now, the bulk of those deportations under Obama were people that were arrested at the border and then sent back. And as we talked about yesterday, that's not what everyone is thinking about when they're talking about deportations.
Shoot, he was over 200,000 in his first 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost 200,000 in year 3.
On actual ICE apprehensions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite a lot. But you see, as time goes on, a bigger portion of these are U.S. Border Patrol. Now, they can do some operations inside the country, but they're going to be mostly patrolling the border, although not so much these days. Okay, number 5. Now we made it to the administration's responses to the Alex Preddy,
which are also dumb.
Which are also dumb. And so they're going to make it for number 5 here. I'm sorry, if you'll pardon me. It is possible for the administration that you voted for to do stupid things.
It's possible for MAGA to do stupid things.
And they might have done a stupid enough thing to win a stupid prize if they win this week. We'll see. And so here's Kristi Noem. Here we go.
I do want to address the tragic situation that we saw in Minneapolis today that unfolded on the streets. It occurred with DHS law enforcement as they carried out their lawful duties to keep Americans safe in the threat of criminal illegal aliens in this country. At 9:05 a.m. Central Time, the Department of Homeland Security law enforcement officials and officers were conducting targeted operations in Minneapolis against an illegal alien whose criminal history included domestic without a valid license. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene.
Okay, everything she just said is a lie. Just then. And that should bother anyone, whether you support the administration or not. Everything she just said is a lie. I'm going to play that again.
The officers attempted to disarm this individual. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately.
Now, this may be the story that she was told from the leaders of the officers.
Could be the people there. That's what
but
they
it's her problem for not vetting it before coming out and making a statement.
Yeah,
as the leader.
that support or not support, you have to agree. You have to be capable of agreeing that everything she just said was not true. When you watch the video, it is clear that they don't see the gun until the guy's already down on the ground, bent over, and his coat comes up. His coat is over it, and it's zipped up, and his coat goes down like past his butt. It's like a long coat, okay? Not a super long, it's not like a trench coat, but it's a good length coat. And they didn't see the gun. They didn't know he had it unless they remembered him from the altercation that occurred 11 days before that, in which case...
Yeah, but if you watch the video, I don't think they didn't know until they were trying to get him on the ground.
But people have made that argument that, well, they knew this guy and they knew that thing. No, that would have been in the press conferences that they gave you the day of or the day after. They would have said, oh yeah, we remember that guy and he had a gun and he was being belligerent. And they absolutely would have said that in the press conferences that day. They didn't find out about it until the video started going around a couple days ago. So anyhow, that's Kristi Noem on this. And now let me first roll through a couple of these others. Stephen Miller responding to Democrat Chris Murphy, who says ICE must leave Minneapolis, blah, blah, blah. Stephen Miller says, an assassin tried to murder federal agents, and this is your response. It's just not what happened. Okay? It's just clearly not what happened. Jack Posobiec said...
By the way, you have plenty of evidence on your side if you just tell the facts.
Yeah.
Of the matter,
just say the facts.
It's God. It's so wild that we have this polarizing narrative from both sides.
They have to cover
the left portrays this guy as this perfect, masculine, handsome hero, taking care of veterans,
a white knight,
which isn't true. And then the right wants to respond.
He probably took care of veterans.
Well, yeah. But he's a hero, basically.
Yeah.
Which in some sense may be true, but. Anyway, they're trying to tell the he's a perfect guy story. And then the right wants to respond to that. And the rhetoric just keeps getting more and more polarized, which is what's so frustrating. But that's what seems to sell.
No, and it works for a lot of people. Clicks. Like you get that first narrative out there, and there's a lot of people that are just going to repeat it over and over again. And a lot of people that go to those people for their narrative are going to repeat it also. And it's not good policy. This is something all governments do. It's not unique to the Trump administration. This is something all governments do. It would be much better. You would get much more goodwill with the people if you would just come out and be honest about it and say, yeah, someone yelled that he had a gun. He did have a gun, actually. Now, did someone reach in there and disarm him right before this? Yeah, he did. But the whole situation happened in like 5 seconds. Okay, and the guy was being super belligerent and would not go down on the ground. And, you might not have video of it, but he was obstructing and wasn't just legal observing and all that the rest of the day. You could have just easily told the story without coming out and calling the guy a freaking domestic terrorist because he had a gun on him. They didn't find out about that till after the fact. Let's see. I'll skip over Posobiec and get to United States Attorney Bill Essayli? I don't know how to say that. Someone type that out phonetically.
S-A-E.
Someone type that out phonetically for me. Okay, so this is a picture of the guy's gun and a post by Homeland Security. And here's the gun. And this guy says, if you approach law enforcement with a gun, there is a high likelihood they will be legally justified in shooting you. Don't do it. That's not, first off, a good thing to come from a legal professional. And also not one that works for the government. And it's just not, you can't set the precedent like if you walk up to an officer, even if the gun was exposed, you don't want to say, well, there's a high likelihood they'll legally be able to shoot you. If you start assaulting the officer, something like that, like if you're attacking the officer, that's one thing. But you don't just say right out, like if you approach law enforcement with a gun that they can't see, then there's a high likelihood they're going to be illegally justified in shooting you.
I can't tell you how many times, well, I don't get pulled over that often, but I've been pulled over a few times where I've either had my gun on me as a person or it's been in the console, the middle console, and I've never once been threatened at all, even remotely, with the officer shooting me because it's on me.
Yeah.
Not once. There was one time they wanted to disarm me, which I was perfectly fine with. I kept my hands up. I opened the car door. I stepped out, and he took my gun out of my holster and set it on the hood of the car. And then he talked to me for a few minutes, gave me a warning, and sent me on my way.
Yeah.
Handed me my gun back.
I got pulled over with a gun in Illinois.
I don't have the gun anymore, but
I wasn't even allowed to have the gun in Illinois. And I told the officer, that I had a gun in my center thing. I know that's not smart. In my defense, I was drunk. And so he was like, "Oh, that's cool," and asked me to see it. And so he pulls it out and is like messing with it and like checking it out and all this stuff. He's like, "Oh, I've been wanting to check out some of these LC9s or whatever." And he's like, checks it out and then just gives it back to me and sends me on my way. I got the luckiest luck in the entire world when it comes to dealing with law enforcement. It's ridiculous. Like there's some kind of shroud of protection around me. It's called whiteness.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That reminds me of the video with I know it's fake, but from Reno 911.
Yeah.
Who's like, "Oh, you're a hell of a dancer." "Oh, no, ma'am, I'm just drunk."
Okay, here we go.
He probably didn't know that part.
No, he didn't know that part. Yeah. Here's Kash Patel.
No, I mean, thousands
real
of people
story?
are marching.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
100%
God.
real story.
Okay.
100%.
You learn something new every day. There's a reason you quit drinking. Sober for 7.5 years now.
So, yeah.
Be 8 in June.
Yeah, 8 years in June.
Congratulations.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I got
All right.
I got a lot. One of my favorite
6 now?
One of my favorite things when I was hammer drunk used to be was I would get my gun out and I would do the thing where you. I could do it right now, actually, if you want.
No, let's not. Nope. Let's not and say we did.
You eject the round and catch it like you're really cool,
Oh, that sounds super smart.
And it was only when I was super drunk that I would decide to do that.
Which is worse. That's worse.
No, I'm just saying, I wasn't in control of I wasn't making good decisions at that time.
Oh, man, this is why the #1 predictor of you being murdered is by a drunk family member.
That's true.
A drunk family member will murder you.
What is your advice to the people right now who are outraged that this is a second killing at the hands of Border Patrol in 2 weeks?
As Christy said, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence. We will, of course, always protect your...
That's enough of that one. Now, any good, safe, legal, law-abiding gun owner like myself knows that you sure as hell can bring that firearm to a protest. Bringing a firearm to a protest is inciting violence. First off, it's hilarious because it's one that you can't even see. Like it was just wrapped up in a jacket. The only violence that was incited was after they already had the guy tackled on the ground.
I could shoulder a rifle if I wanted to.
Yeah. God, do you know how many pictures and videos of people on the right bringing weapons to protest there are? This is like a pretty common thing, pretty wildly common thing.
This is your Release the Epstein Files director of the FBI. Yes, that's right, Drew. Thanks.
So he was appropriately dragged online for this, and he did come out and clarify later on. It's like, of course we support your Second Amendment rights. You just can't be doing crazy stuff like that. And there's a difference in whether or not something is dumb and whether or not it's legal and is an incitement to violence because you're carrying a fire. That's just not. You're really going to have a right-wing administration start telling people that? What are you going to do when a left-wing administration's in control? They're going to play a freaking video of your people saying it. It's ridiculous. Here's Caroline Levitt.
Kash Patel said in a Sunday interview, quote, "You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest." Does the president believe the Second Amendment rights remain in effect even when protesting?
The president supports the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding American citizens. Absolutely. There has been no greater supporter or defender of the right to bear arms than President Donald J. Trump. So while Americans have a constitutional right to bear arms, Americans do not have a constitutional right to impede lawful immigration enforcement operations. And any gun owner knows that when you are carrying a weapon, when you are bearing arms and you are confronted by law enforcement, you are raising the assumption of risk and the...
So this is why it's so important the fact that they did not know that he had a gun on him until he was already on the ground, because so many of the excuses they threw out the first day for why this happened had to do with the fact that he had a gun on him. Now, you could say that if he wouldn't have had the gun on him, no one would have grabbed it from him, no one would have yelled gun, 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 and he wouldn't have gotten killed. But that's not the reason he ended up on the ground. That's not the reason they saw him as this massive violent threat. It's not the reason that the entire situation transpired in the first place. Now, you could say, well, if he wouldn't have been out there obstructing while trying to use a legal observer status and, over the top of that to cover his actions, then he wouldn't be dead either.
This guy would have been alive had he not resisted arrest.
Yeah.
He could have just accepted the arrest.
I mean, that is the case. In
as they're
most
handcuffing
of these times.
him, you say, hey, just let you know, I am armed. My hands are here. I am armed. Please disarm me. And 99% likelihood law enforcement is not going to just shoot you because of that.
Yeah. And just to clarify, because I agree with you on that when it comes to like, just don't resist. As libertarians, we'd be like, well, you neither don't resist. What are you, some kind of crazy authoritarian status?
Well, but then you run the risk of dying.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do. That is a risk. But the other thing is, once you got 6 guys putting you on the ground, whether or not you think it's like your moral duty to resist or not, you got to accept checkmate at some point and live to fight another day. So, like, you can't say, well, of course it's a good idea to try and fight off those 6 guys with guns and overpower them and get away from them and do some kind of harm to them or get away. Like, no, it's checkmate at that time, guys.
Right.
Be smart enough to live another day, even if you are a resistance fighter. It's just not a smart thing to do. You're going to get bailed out or not even get, you might not even get processed. They might drop you off a couple blocks down the road or something like that. So just be smart about it. That's all I'm saying. This guy, this is when we found out, oh, he was a legal gun owner, Charlie. But did you know that they don't think his permit was in his wallet? Meaning it was technically illegal for him to be carrying because his permit wasn't in his wallet. And that's why he got killed. Or something like that. I don't know.
Because I've been in that situation. There's a couple of things. Number one, the Second Amendment is a right. I'm not a Second Amendment absolutist. You have the right to carry a weapon to defend yourself, not the privilege. It is a right. Those rights come with restrictions. I think you would understand that more than anyone at this table. One of those restrictions is you have to have your ID and your permit on you. We don't know.
Hang on a second. He's a Second Amendment absolutist? But you got to have a license?
That is a right. It's not a privilege. It's a right. He says that specifically. That is a right, not a privilege. But that comes with restrictions. And one of the restrictions is you got to have the government card on you that says you're allowed to exercise that right, which, by the way, makes it a privilege, not a right.
Is this guy
and
AI?
This guy's an idiot.
Is this an AI bot?
I don't know what's going on. We don't need to even play any more of this. That was dumb enough right there. We got plenty of other things. And then there's the Trump videos. We can play those right quick.
Sir, was Mr. Petty acting as an assassin? Do you think he was acting as an assassin in Minneapolis?
Who is that?
Mr. Petty, your deputy chief of staff said that. You don't think so?
With that being said, he can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns.
What about the Second Amendment?
Listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. But it's just a very unfortunate incident.
What about?
Can't walk in with guns. Just can't do it.
I don't know if he means that like absolutely you can't do it, or you can't do that and expect to not elicit some kind of reaction from law enforcement, or if he also doesn't know that they didn't know he had a gun until he was already on the ground. Here's
one number that's bad. Can you tell? Is there one number that's bad? There's not one.
Do you agree with the assessment from some of your own officials that Alex Preddy is a domestic terrorist or an assassin?
It's so awkward to me that there's like a child right there behind him. You're talking about like domestic terrorists and this guy getting killed by law enforcement. I'm like, who brings their kid to this? I don't know.
I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident, okay? Right. Everyone, unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
He says that in a way that has like plausible deniability. I don't like it.
That was a better response that time.
He didn't say you can't. He said, I don't like it, which you can have that opinion. You don't, I mean, I wouldn't recommend you go into a protest and be armed. I wouldn't recommend, I don't like it either. Now, does that mean you don't have a right to do that? No, of course it doesn't. I recommend not going and protesting to begin with because
it's stupid and nothing happens.
I don't know what good
Although I
it
don't know, it
actually
sounds
does.
like they worked. Actually, they're backing down in Minneapolis. They've changed it up.
Oh,
so,
are they?
Yeah, they're changing stuff up.
Didn't they just
Now,
send
allegedly.
Tom Homan there?
Yeah, and Tom Homan got up there and said that they were just going to do targeted criminals.
They were going after a targeted criminal guy in that case.
They already say that, but like, over 70% of the people they've arrested have not had a criminal history. So it's, they already say that. It does sound like he's backed down a little bit.
I say this as I'm not someone who's opposed to tyrannical government resistance. But to Bailey's point in the Fed Haters Club, join gmail.com. There are consequences to actions, and you have to basically sign the dotted line in your head that if I'm going to participate in resistance to what I believe is a tyrannical government, and to assist me in that, I'm going to carry my lawfully right to be armed against that tyrannical government, then it's a possibility that you might not see tomorrow. And if you're accepting those terms, okay.
Yeah.
But you don't get to be a victim after that. Be a martyr, be a hero, whatever you want. But you don't get to be a victim afterwards. I'm not against. I do believe one day that there will be, as the founding fathers had anticipated, that the tree of liberty has to be watered with the blood of patriots from time to time. And
patriots and tyrants.
Yeah, so one day the government will be tyrannical enough. I've got my lines in the concrete. I'll say this. If the ATF was going door to door to disarm people, I'm part of the resistance. And I'm willing to sacrifice my own life to be part of that resistance because I refuse to live in a society where the government decides it can disarm people. That's my line. What's yours?
Yeah.
This is a question you have to ask yourself.
This
one is not, I don't know. It's not, I understand what some people think about it, but for me personally, it's not a line in concrete for me. I do have my lines though. And I think the government can be tyrannical enough that resistance may be called up one day. But for me, this situation isn't it, but you have to be willing to accept those terms.
Those are the terms. I need this next one in your guys' minds to be connected back to the one that was called Dumb Dim Takes. This is a response to the things that Trump was just saying, but it's a response by Gavin Newsom. And so I don't want to attach this to the administration because Gavin Newsom's response is really dumb here. He has two really dumb responses, actually. So in response to what the videos we just heard from Trump, Gavin Newsom says Donald Trump does not support the Second Amendment. And then again, he posts out, from the Governor Gavin Newsom account, nothing is sacred in Trump's America, not the First Amendment, not the Second, not even life itself. We, the people, will not allow the Trump administration to erode our rights. And the reason it goes in the Dumb Dim Takes is because, let me just tell you about Gavin Newsom's 28th Amendment, which is called the Right to Safety Amendment, which is going to give the federal government finally the right to decide where and when and what kind of firearms you can have. And that is an amendment proposed by Gavin Newsom. And so for him
by
to
the
be
way,
coming out,
foregoing talking about any of his COVID restrictions, which violated the First Amendment, all of the First Amendment and everything else. We'll just talk about this proposal.
These people. This would permanently enshrine four broadly supported gun safety principles into the U.S. Constitution, raising the federal minimum age to purchase a firearm from 18 to 21, mandating universal background checks to prevent truly dangerous people from purchasing a gun that could be used in a crime. Who decides what a truly dangerous person is? Another reason that people on the right should be careful when they call people domestic terrorists, because you get called domestic terrorist also. Let's be real strict on what that means. Instituting a reasonable waiting period for all gun purchase. What's reasonable? And number 4, barring civilian purchase of assault weapons that serve no other purpose than to kill as many people as possible in a short amount of time. Weapons of war, our nation's founders never foresaw. And then we get to Tim Pool.
Oh, great. Number 6.
This is Tim.
We're making decent time.
This is Tim the Boot Pool. That's what we're going to call him. Tim the Boot has got a clip going around where he goes on a nice little rant. I'm not going to play this 5-minute clip, but I am going to play a couple excerpts from it. And then we'll have to talk about the Second Amendment part next week, probably. Here's Tim Pool.
These liberals who all of a sudden are libertarians and all of a sudden love 2A and the lolberts. I love the lolberts. You know why I love libertarians so much? Because whenever a fight breaks out, they fold like cheap suits. So I don't have to worry about them at all. These libertarians come out and they're like, look, I'm concerned about immigration, but I don't think the government should be allowed. And I'm like, bro, by all means, scream into the wind. Because if anything actually has to happen, you're going to stand there with our arms crossed while we do the jobs that need to be done. But what I love...
I do have to ask, what does he mean by we?
Yeah.
Because he's not doing anything except for talking, just like the people that he's critiquing, probably Dave Smith in this scenario, who's also sitting there talking and goes around talking to people as well. So when he says making fun of libertarians, because when it comes to a fight, like you don't have to worry about them, they're just going to fold. Okay, you're also not in the fight at all. You're behind a microphone. And by the way, if the fight is over, see, there's a difference there. I think libertarians, if there was a fight to, say, make the government smaller and take power away from the government, that would be a fight that maybe some libertarians would get involved in. That fight has yet to be presented by either the right or the left for libertarians to get involved in. So yes, when the fight happens, like, I'm not going to help you make your government bigger, and I'm not going to help you make your government bigger. Screw you guys. You guys can punch each other out.
Some of these fights have happened. With I can't remember the guy's name, but remember the whole cattle ranching thing that happened?
On the Bundy Ranch?
The Bundy Ranch.
Yeah.
So some of these libertarians have actually participated in a fight
Mm-hmm.
against an actual tyrannical government before.
All right.
So
now the real dumb part. Actually, we're skipping over 2 minutes of super dumb stuff here that we really should revisit, where he decides to say the Second Amendment was not so you could fight a tyrannical government. But anyhow, that's great to hear. Great to hear from right-wing Republicans, MAGA people these days.
So the argument right now is this. I'll put it simply. First of all, when these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots. It's mine. I voted for them. I'm wearing the boot. I'm stomping on the ground. I ain't licking anybody. I'm clapping for these people that I said, please go out and enforce the law. And anybody else who's cheering for it, who voted for it too, we're all wearing the boots. You're the one crying. You're the one saying you're coming in and enforcing laws we didn't vote for. Well, I got bad news for you. The American people voted for the Republican Party in the House, the Senate, the presidency, and they got the Supreme Court. That means it's the will of the people and democracy that we enforce our immigration law. I'm not going to sit here and say that children should get wrapped up and abused or anything stupid like that. Your stories are fake and they're not happening.
I'm stomping on the ground.
I voted for it. No, you're also not doing it. Someone else is doing it. And that same boot has been used to stomp on you previously, because guess what? This is not just the boot that you voted for. You've been funding the same boot your entire life, dude. And the same booth that you're funding right now is going to be controlled by someone else. You might be happy that you're in some sort of control with the boot, although I bet you sometimes those boots also do things that you don't like. I bet there's many instances, many things that have happened during the Trump administration that Tim Pool thought was not right. Well, how is your boot doing something that you don't like, Tim? I thought it was your boot. That's ridiculous, right? And they never think that anyone else is ever going to be wearing that boot. All you're doing is paying for it, dude. It's doing whatever it wants. You might get lucky that it aligns with something that you want for a short amount of time.
Every now and then you might fit in the boot.
Yeah, that might be about it. It might walk in the direction you want or stomp on the face that you want, but it's going to stomp right back on your face next time around. He's been targeted before plenty of times by many people wearing boots, or many people who sent their boots to target him.
When another party controls the boot, you're just supposed to sit up and shut up and take it because that's the will of the people.
That's democracy.
When Democrats take over the presidency and the House and the Senate, which they're likely to take over the House and the Senate come midterms, that's the will of the people, Tim. Accept your boot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ridiculous argument.
It's always it's a great argument to make while your people are in power. That's great. And then later on, he's going to be bitching about the same boot that he's still paying for, maybe even making more money because his audience numbers have gone back up because there's someone else in the White House and people are upset. They're watching, stuff talking about the terrible Democratic administration.
And what they're doing with the boot.
And he's going to be sitting there funding the boot just like everyone else and bitching about the boot, even though he didn't vote for it. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. That's the Tim Pool part. That's my thoughts for that. And he's really going hard on the boot, by the way. He responds to Reason, who says, many conservatives are embracing big government from police state immigration tactics to socialist economic policies. Read more. That is a factual statement, by the way. That's just a factual statement from Reason. I don't like everything Reason does. Okay. Sometimes they could have like a little bit of a left libertarian, view on things.
Retarded
lens on
view.
things. Yeah, sometimes, but I like many of the people over there as well. And Tim Pool's going to respond, the reason this is retarded is that MAGA is the boot. ICE isn't treading on MAGA. They're just treading on someone else. I don't know. He's real big on this boot right now. I'm just going to call him Tim the Boot.
Mm-hmm.
That's his name, man. Now we're
The
going to
funny
get
thing
in.
is he probably doesn't even wear boots.
Yeah. Now we'll get into things about libertarians. We got to try and scoot through this, okay? Rand Paul came out and, like an idiot, has been recommending that they do an investigation into what happened with this shooting. Like a Democrat, crazy Democrat, said that the American people deserve for an investigation to happen into federal agents killing an American citizen, that we should just look into it, see what happened.
Yeah.
Like an idiot.
Yes.
You know who wants that? Democrats want that right now. So you're basically a Democrat. All right. Sorry, I'm just kind of paraphrasing Cat Turd, who says, why does deep red Kentucky have the biggest POS Republican representatives who always side with Democrats and a Democrat governor? Oh, man. I don't know if it's such a childish way to look at things if you happen to vote with Democrats on something, meaning in that being that you sided with them. Like there are only two sides and there's only two ways of looking at something. Democrats vote against Republicans because they're just playing team sport. Or they hate Trump and they just want to vote against Trump. They're going to be against basically everything Republicans or Trump does. And so that's why they cast that vote. But if someone like Massey or Rand Paul also happens to cast the same vote, doesn't mean that he voted with Democrats or aligned with Democrats. It means there was also a good reason to be against something that the Republican was doing. Because there is. Like every single time, there has been a good reason to be against it. And this whole well, if you vote with them, that means that you're siding with them. It's not the case. From Mark Mitchell.
I know this is hard for people like Cat Turd to understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
This goes a little bit above their head.
Mark Mitchell, in response to the Rand Paul video that we played yesterday, says this should probably disqualify all libertarians forever. And once again, the thing that should disqualify them, I get a lot of people are not going to be okay with. It wasn't amnesty, but it wasn't citizenship either. But it was, you can stay here. You're just never going to have the rights that the citizen has. You're never going to be a citizen. You can't vote. You can't get welfare. You can't get anything. Okay.
It's an attempted solution at an impossible problem.
There's holes in the plan. I get it. But the alternative that Republicans are deciding to go with is impossible, which is to deport all of the people. And that's just not going to happen. It is a mathematical and physical impossibility for it to happen. And so you have to understand that eventually you're going to have a conversation about, okay, we can't do that. So what can we do that could stop all the bad effects that we see from these immigrants? So maybe you go after the murderers and rapists and these people, and then also make sure people can't come back across the border, and make sure 100% people can't vote and they can't get on welfare.
One other thing I want to say about Rand Paul, too, because he talked about this on the Joe Rogan show, when Joe Rogan asked him his opinion about the good shooting that happened. He was basically like, well, we need to see an investigation before I give an opinion because I don't want to sway a jury pool potentially. That's like a normal thing.
Yeah.
For a public official to probably do. to say like, well, let's see what the results of the investigation are before I comment what I think happened, because maybe I don't know all the facts. And so what's wrong with calling an investigation? This is so retarded.
It is. It really is. But that's the world we live in. Jesse Kelly says, I'm sorry to inform you that libertarianism becomes an invalid ideology once your country has been flooded with millions of third world barbarians. I like libertarianism. I think it's a great way to govern, but it will not work for these times. And I just
But hang on. Do you see how it's framed? Your country is flooded with third world barbarians. That's because that's how they see all of these people. Now, are some of the people barbarians and criminals? Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the majority of the people that have come across the border?
There are many people who think that. Yeah.
I know, but that's the problem here is that, and see, this is the problem that happens with human beings, is we reduce people below the level of human beings so that we can treat them however we want to treat them. There's no difference. This has happened for thousands of years in society. Obviously, you know, with feudalism, you had the peasants. Like, who cares? Just the peasants died. It wasn't a lord or a lady. You know, just one of them peasants. Forgot his name. You know? And then we got, whatever, deplorables. We've got barbarians. We've got
Jews.
Jews. What were the Gazans?
Kulaks.
Yeah, kulaks.
Amalite.
Fetuses.
Amalek. I can't remember what the word
Fetuses.
is.
They're not babies. It's a fetus. We could just do whatever we want to them because they're not real human beings.
That's a good critique of that, for sure. My critique of that was much more surface level, not as deep as what you were talking about. It's like, isn't it great to criticize libertarians when they've been right about every single freaking thing throughout all of the years, and you did the opposite or none of what they wanted at all, and it all turned to shit? And then, well, they're still sitting here saying, why don't we do libertarian solutions to this? You're like, no, I like libertarianism, but we just can't do it right now. Things are too awful. Just impossible for us to do in the current state of the world right now. It's terrible.
And the current state is based on all the policies I've advocated for my entire life.
Where my ideas have landed us is much too bad to try libertarianism. It's just not, once I find a way out of this.
That's a great take.
We'll fix this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that your boot? Libertarian boot?
Yeah, that's my libertarian boot, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's see here. Matt Walsh. Some of these are so surface level and we're running out of time. So Matt Walsh and Dave Smith went on a little back and forth. Some of these responses have been to Dave Smith, who said, I'm an immigration restrictionist. I believe that we have the right to remove any and all people who entered our country illegally. Also, ICE is out of effing control. A bunch of P words, drunk on power, going around intentionally escalating violent interactions and intimidating U.S. citizens. They create these tragic situations, and after this gigantic show of force, they won't deport a fraction of the illegals who entered under Biden. This is simply not worth it. Good and bad things in that post, but that's what a lot of these responses have been to. That was a really big post. That's mainly what Tim Pool's response was to. He went back and forth with Matt Walsh as well about this. And later on, Matt Walsh responding to a post of Dave Smith with like a blue hair wig on, being like a blue hair liberal. And the comment is, why don't you look like this? That way Ben Shapiro will let you debate Matt Walsh. He says, that's really not necessary. All of his political views line up exactly with blue-haired liberal women. There's literally zero difference between them ideologically.
God.
And that's just...
Sometimes I want to like Matt Walsh, and he's done a couple of good things, but then he says something like this, and then his face just becomes extremely punchable.
I go back, like, I like him more recently than, say, I used to. He's got a lot of good takes on things. He's funny. He's actually really funny. He did some sarcastic versions of Dave Smith's post that were actually really funny, even if I agree somewhat with Dave Smith's take. Like, he seems like a funny guy, you know? All right, next thing. Aaron McIntyre says, in response to Ron Paul, who did a little critique of what is happening with ICE and the killing of Alex Preddy, says, you can die a hero or you can live long enough to become a communist sympathizer. And that's just... And another, you know, Jeremy Kauffman has been on this a lot from New Hampshire has been on this a lot, and this is another good example of that. Says, this is just for libertarians. Do you want liberty, or do you want to LARP about liberty so you can feel good about yourself? If an agent of the state kills a statist that had voted and would happily vote away your liberty yet again, why are you falling all over yourself to defend them? Do you think the other similar statists will stop and say, oh, look, the libertarians are on our side. We should repeal all these laws that violate their liberty? No, as soon as they vote their guy to run the show, they'll happily slip their foot in the boot. And it's Tim Pool's boot. Once Tim Pool takes off his boot, they're going to put the boot on. So effing naive.
God, the logic of these people, I understand it. I do. It's just a low IQ view. I'm sorry.
This is being presented as the high IQ view
It's
right
not.
now for libertarians.
It's not.
You
though.
would literally
look, this is the same thing when it comes to hate speech. Okay, if you think about it this way. Free speech was created for exactly the things that you may despise. Okay? So you're telling me that because I think someone might try to advocate for policies that's going to reduce my liberty, it's better off that we just fucking kill him, you idiot? What's the point? What's the point of our ideology anyway? It's the same rhetoric over and over again. It's like, oh, okay, well, we've got to implement our utopian, future. And to get there, we got to kill everyone who we disagree with. Then what are you left with?
Seems like you're also admitting, like, our ideas can't win. We haven't found a good enough way to argue them. And so therefore it's time for us to have the all-powerful state kill all the people who want an all-powerful state, which is difficult because that means you have an all-powerful state. And by the way, those same Republican statists who you're having kill the left-wing statists also want to use that state to take away your liberties and your rights and your money and everything away from you all the time. And so then that state would then need to kill itself too. Actually, they're probably just going to turn on you once they kill the other statists, the left-wing statists, because
and then you're no different than the enemy you're trying to destroy. This played out in Russia, a perfect example of almost 100 years of this playing out. We got to kill all the kulaks. They're the problem. They're rich people. These folks have got to go, and then we can build our communist utopia. And what happens? What eventually happens is you become the enemy of the Communist Party, or whatever you want to call your faction is. Eventually, you become the enemy of the very thing that you're advocating for. God, Solzhenitsyn wrote beautifully about this in the Gulag Archipelago. The guy was a communist through and through until he said the one wrong thing that got him sent to the camps.
Well, the number one killer of communists was communist. Like the snake eats its tail kind of thing. Number 8, the Ways and Means Committee, but it's the Ways and Means Democrats. Okay. Now it's important probably to note that the Ways and Means Committee are like the people in the House that decide how we're going to collect money from the American people. Like, how are we going to do this and not destroy the economy? And what's the best way for us to collect this without destroying that at the same time? Just keep all that in mind. Here's the Ways and Means Democrat. Now, they're responding to a New York Times post that says, breaking news, the U.S. trade deficit rose sharply in November as President Trump's tariffs generated intense volatility. It's true, the trade deficit did go up a lot. No argument with that at all. Now, they post a meme, and it's Donald Trump saying no, and someone's trying to hand him the book Basic Economics, to which I'm like, yeah, that's right.
That's a great book.
That's a great book.
I recommend it.
I recommend it to everyone. This is a great thing. They're making a great point here, probably. And then they have to clarify afterwards, author's note, this is a joke. It does not mean we endorse Thomas Sowell.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my God. We only endorse one thing Thomas Sowell said about trade, and that's it, because it's convenient for our argument.
Like, too many Democrats got mad that they posted one
we
of
don't
those
endorse
Basic
that
Economics
black PhD author. What are you talking about?
They literally can't endorse Basic Economics. They want everyone to know that. Okay, number 9, A little bit of Epstein stuff. You guys remember the Epstein thing?
Yeah, I still remember. I brought it up earlier in the episode.
That's crazy, right? And in retrospect, all the stuff that's going on right now, I think is Thomas Massey's fault, because they've clearly just been trying to distract people. And so maybe like this lesson learned, like don't ask for the Epstein files, you know? So anyhow, here's Harmeet Dillon posting out this article from the Wall Street Journal. I'm not going to go through the article and tell the article. Okay. It's why Pam Bondi didn't publish all the Epstein files in 30 days. Like, why have they technically broken this law? Okay.
Why Pam Bondi broke the law.
And it's just this great. It's all, there's so many documents. There's like 5 million documents where I'm like, that's a lot of documents, man. That's a lot.
Jesus.
You're telling me that in 5 million documents, the only people implicated criminally were Jeffrey Epstein and
Ghislaine Maxwell?
That's it? That's it? There was not another thing in there that implicated anyone in anything?
Wild.
That's pretty crazy also. But anyhow, it's
likely
a lot of,
not true.
It's a lot of documents to redact, and you got to make sure you redact that. See if this guy has paid enough money into your crypto account for you to redact his name, stuff like that. You know, it's difficult stuff to do. And anyhow, they post out this article. Now, the thing is, the dumb is, it's written by freaking Bill Barr. Okay. And Bill Barr, I mean, among other things, the funniest, craziest thing about Bill Barr is just the fact that his dad, Donald Barr, who gave Jeffrey Epstein his first job and who also wrote a book about people enslaving people, going to other planets and getting sex slaves and stuff like that.
Using it as blackmail.
So this just wild stuff. And then he ends up being the attorney general while Epstein dies in his prison cell, which honestly, the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I think there's maybe some people had some stuff to do with what was going on in there. That's a little bit too on the nose, is it not? Just a little bit too much.
Make a great TV show.
You know, it's a great movie. Yeah, great TV show. Movie's not long enough to cover all of this stuff.
My point. Yeah.
Yeah, you
We
gotta
need,
have
8 seasons.
Yeah, you gotta do 8 seasons of a TV show. When you're Harmeet Dillon, working for the government, you're posting something out, I just think it's a really bad idea to post out a reason for why you shouldn't, or why it's okay that you didn't release all the Epstein files. And the person who wrote that is Bill Barr. That's just really dumb. Okay. That's really, really stupid. Now they, you know, maybe people like William P. Barr. I don't remember a guy named William P. Barr working in the Trump administration. That's weird. So anyhow, okay, last thing, just so everyone can calm the hell down. Okay, just everyone calm down. Let's talk about something that's very stupid. This got submitted today, and I'm glad I looked back at the group. The Olympics are coming up. The Olympics. Do you watch the Olympics?
And where is it at? In LA?
No clue. Don't know at all.
Oh, the Winter Olympics.
Winter Olympics. The Winter Olympics are coming up. No clue where they are at all. The AP posts out this thing. The U.S. is not alone in grappling with diversity in winter sports. In Europe, immigration from Africa and the Middle East has rapidly changed the demographics of the top winter sports countries that won't be reflected in their rosters for the Milan.
Oh, it's in Italy.
Winter Olympics.
Immigration from Africa and the Middle East is changing the demographics of Europe's top winter sports countries, but that hasn't really translated to their largely white rosters heading to the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics. For instance, Team Sweden is almost entirely made up of ethnically Swedish athletes, which is hardly a reflection of the country's diversity, as Sweden has welcomed historic numbers of asylum seekers in recent decades. Experts point to social...
This is all so freaking stupid.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we ended with this, something that we could laugh about. This whole thing is so just, it's so gay.
Maybe they didn't
Just in a bad
qualify.
way. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Like,
look, Jamaica's got a bobsled team. Okay. We all saw the movie.
financial, and geographical
John Candy did a great
barriers,
job
and believe there needs to be a
getting
big
them ready.
social, financial, and geographical barriers, and believe there needs to be a big cultural shift for anything to change. And research shows the single biggest influence behind children getting into and maintaining an interest in sports is their parents. For second-generation immigrants whose parents may be unfamiliar with the sport, young athletes may have a harder time garnering the support that they need.
My parents made me nervous because they felt scared. They felt maybe I was also out of place. Maybe it's something dangerous. Maybe it's something I don't belong to. but I proved them wrong.
There are also financial and geographical
She just told her
factors
parents
at
it was
play,
like
too.
bananas and
Immigrants
rice, and they were like,
typically
oh,
live
okay,
in
cool.
major urban areas, away from skiing hubs in the mountains, and are in less privileged economic positions. Participating in winter sports can be very expensive. While some countries like Sweden offer programs to young children that give them access to free ski equipment and the slopes, experts also believe that more needs to be done by winter sports to improve accessibility.
We all just let white people have a sport. That's what this whole video is about. They don't like that there's all these sports represented by a bunch of white people. That's all it is.
Just maybe, you don't gain any skills in skiing down a mountain when you live in the desert of Africa. Okay? And maybe that's just not your passion. And maybe it is some people's passion because they lived on a mountain their whole fucking lives. I said the F word a lot in this video.
You got a lot of F words.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I really apologize. I haven't gone to church in like 3 or 4 weeks.
Dude, come on.
Well, we missed the ice storm, and then we were traveling for a funeral the week before that and stuff. And I'm getting really frustrated at this stuff, and I'm letting the F word fly. And I need to really hone it in so that my child can listen to these episodes.
Oh yeah,
but it's so frustrating to like think that this is a DEI problem versus like maybe these people just aren't that passionate about it. And you know what? When your kids ask to do a sport that the parents don't really know about, then a lot of times they don't get into those sports. Like, you know, for instance, even my own kid, he hasn't asked me about curling. Okay. Cause he doesn't watch his dad curl, but he's seen his dad golf. So he loves golf, and we play baseball and like, I don't know, things that normal Tennessee kids do. It's like if we had mountains and stuff where there was a bunch of snow on them that were quick, you know, that we could go to on the weekends, every weekend, which it's not that far away out in Gatlinburg, but then maybe we would be a skiing family, but we're just not. So he's never asked to ski. It's just so ridiculous.
All right.
And funny.
It is very funny. Just wanted to end with something a little bit lighter, although really, really dumb. So everyone needs to go vote in the Dumb Bleep of the Week voting channel. And by the way, it's a new way today. It's through through an actual poll. Charlie, you should go vote there too. You can't actually see the votes until you vote in the channel.
Oh.
And you click it, and then you have to go down and hit vote for the vote to go through. It's like punching, like don't leave no hanging chad. Like you hit the thing, and then you hit vote. And then our system that we have dominion over is going to change it to whatever we want it to be afterwards. So go in there, hit them their votes. Let's see them changing. Let's see them bars going back and forth. And
it's tight.
Make sure, Charlie, that you remind everyone that they need to subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube and leave comments and things like that.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell, subscribe, like, comment, and share with your fellow YouTubers. If you listening on podcasts, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to godhatesfeds.com, pick up some merchandise, and click a button called Join GML to join the Fed Haters Club, or go to joingml.com. That's joingml.com to be part of the Fed Haters Club, where you yourself can vote. It's kind of a tight race.
It's
here.
looking like Tim the Boot is winning right now, but everyone's got 5 seconds to get their final vote in. You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it is Tim the Boot.
Tim the Boot. That's not what I
We're just
voted
gonna keep
for.
making, instead of that beanie on his head, it needs to be a boot on his head. We got to start making those memes for sure. I'm sure someone's already done that. I'm sure.
Yeah. We haven't seen it yet though. Yeah. So, all right, y'all. If you enjoyed what we just talked about, then share it around. Like I said, do all those things I said to do. If you didn't like it, then don't do those things. And
get out.
We'll
Get the hell out.
We'll see you never.
Yeah.
Nate will be upset about it. I'll sleep just fine.
Probably sleep better, actually.
With or without you.
Yeah.
So do those things. We'll be back again on Monday. Until then, I hope you have a good day, a good weekend, and a good morning, Liberty.